The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. One Sabbath, Jesus was at the house of a leader of the Pharisees to eat a meal. Jesus said to the one who had invited him, "When you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or sisters or your relatives or rich neighbors, in case they may invite you in return, and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." The Gospel of the Lord. So the words of the Gospel since wiped away. Today, on this November 4th, we celebrate actually one of my favorite saints, if you want. And why is he my favorite saint? I haven't known about St. Charles Borromeo for a very long time, actually. At the beginning of my seminary days, we were asked, just like in the first week almost, we were asked as a group of the first-year guys to do a project on a saint. And I was paired with somebody, and his name was Phil, now Father Phil, from a different diocese. But anyway, saw a picture on a wall. This guy looks like a saint. Let's do it on him. I don't know. We weren't really sure who we wanted to do it on. And then Charles Borromeo. Who's that guy? So so I didn't know much about him back then. And he turns out that he was our patron saint at the seminary. So we're divided into different groups, and I was part of Group B. Yeah, very original names, Group A, B, C, D. And I was part of Group B. And our patron saint was St. Charles Borromeo. We even had a mascot, too, in our group. It was like this very large plush teddy bear, and we pranked people with it and stuff like that at seminary. And guess what his name was? His name was Bear Mayo. Anyway, it was a cute name for a teddy bear. But anyway, St. Charles Borromeo was very instrumental in reforming seminaries. He's the one who kind of launched it after the Council of Trent in the 1500s, was seminary formation. So he's very instrumental in that. And he's from actually a very wealthy family. And his uncle was actually the Pope. And so he's from a wealthy family. His uncle was a Pope, and he was named a cardinal in his early 20s. Now, things work differently nowadays, so cardinals aren't usually named in their early 20s. But he was also named the Archbishop of Milan. And back then, if you were an archbishop near Rome, you never really spent much time in your diocese. Most of them wanted to be with the high brass in Rome. So even if you were the archbishop of somewhere, you stayed in Rome. So you were never really much with the people that you were overseeing. So it was kind of just a title. And so it seemed, there's no one in Milan, so he was named Archbishop of Milan. It's like if our bishop was just never here, was always on travels and stuff like that. But St. Charles Borromeo, when he was named Archbishop of Milan, he wanted to stay there. He wanted to live there. He wanted to live with the people. He wanted to be with the people. And I think this is what I really liked about St. Charles Borromeo, is that he essentially wanted to bloom where he was planted. If you've ever heard that expression before, bloom where you're planted. No matter where you are, no matter what your situation is, you try to flourish there, because that's where the Lord has put us, right? So often we think of getting ahead. As a seminarian, I can't wait to be a priest. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Or as an associate pastor, I can't wait to be a pastor. I'm going to do all these things. Or as a pastor, I can't wait to be a Monsignor. I'm going to do all these things. I can't wait to be... Anyway, so it's like these things, and we could do this in our own careers too, right? We can think, I'm the assistant manager. I can't wait to be the manager. You're the manager. I'm looking forward to being the CEO one day of the company. So these kinds of things, these kinds of ambitions, they can kind of distract us from what is actually going on around us, from the people that are in need around us. And so this is what I really liked about St. Charles Borromeo. And it kind of relates to our first reading today, actually, from St. Paul's letter to the Philippians. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility regard others as better than yourselves. And this is where it is here. Let each one of you look not to your own interests, but to the interests of others. The interests of others. Don't look at your own interests, but the interests of others. That's kind of where we can get that expression, right? Bloom where you're planted, right? And this is what our gospel is saying too, about serving the poor, about inviting the poor, being of service to the people who are in need, the people who are around us. Jesus says, and you will be blessed because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. You will be blessed. Remember, this word blessed also means happy. You will be happy by serving those who are around you, those who are marginalized, those who are the poor. And this, of course, is what St. Charles Borromeo did. He stayed in Milan. He served the poorest of the poor. There were famines, there were plagues, but he wanted to stay with his people, to serve them. There's even a story that in the Archbishop's palace, he took some of the curtains to make some clothes for people because they were running out of clothes. And he gave those curtains sewed clothes for people. Isn't that a beautiful story of kind of blooming where you're planted? And actually near his death, people were saying, another Ambrose. If you remember, St. Ambrose is also from Milan. That's where St. Augustine heard St. Ambrose in his preaching in Milan. And so when St. Charles Borromeo died, they were saying he's another Ambrose. In other words, another saint. And so today we ask for his intercession that we may bloom where we are planted, that we may be recognized, perhaps maybe another Charles Borromeo, or in fact, even better, another Jesus Christ. Amen.